When Adriana Smith, a 31-year-old Georgia nurse and mother, was just 8 weeks pregnant, she was declared brain dead in February after suffering a medical condition. The family alleges the hospital told them legally she had to be kept on life support to allow the fetus to grow. They alleged the doctors told them they were not legally allowed to consider other options. Since then, many people online have compared her to Henrietta Lacks, the young black woman who was diagnosed with cervical cancer in 1951 and whose cells never died outside of her body, leading doctors to sell them without her family's permission that led to the polio and COVID-19 vaccines and much more. But Henrietta and Adriana are not alone. Fannie Lou Hamer, Elaine Riddick, and many more black women have faced reproductive tragedies from those who violated their bodies. Fannie Lou Hamer went into the hospital in 1961 and came out with her reproductive system removed. Born on October 6, 1917, in Montgomery County, Mississippi, she was the youngest of 20 children, and in 1944, she married Perry Hamer. Well, in 1961, she received a hysterectomy by a white doctor without her consent while undergoing surgery to remove a uterine tumor. The manipulation of black women's bodies is nothing new. Dangerous and voluntary experimentation on African Americans has been practiced widely and documented extensively at least since the 18th century. More than half of the states in the U.S. had eugenic laws of this kind, some of them lasting into the 1970s. Elaine Riddick was involuntarily sterilized at the young age of 14. She tells her story in the documentary My Alpha 21. They said she was promiscuous and didn't get along well with others. But the truth is that Elaine was cold, hungry, and a victim of rape. From this sexual assault, she became pregnant with her only son, and during a C-section, that's when they sterilized her. She didn't know it until she was married and ready to have more children.
Eventually, the social worker noticed that Elaine was pregnant, assumed that she was promiscuous, and recommended that Elaine be examined by the state eugenics board.
The eugenics board was a board of 5 men that sat around a table, and of course they were white men too. They sat around a table and they just marked the paper. Anybody that the social worker would deem feeble-minded or slow or having a problem, the social worker would come in and say, I want this person sterilized.
The board favored the social worker's recommendation.
North Carolina was one of those states that focused on black women who were poor, and it was seen as a way to limit the cost of welfare. Social workers would force women to sterilize or lose their benefits.
They went inside of me and sterilized me without my knowledge because I was black, poor, and my mother was in a prison. My dad was running around. He was an alcoholic. My mother was an alcoholic. So they automatically assumed that I was going to become an alcoholic.
While Adriana wasn't sterilized, the using of her body to grow a baby without her family's permission is eerily similar to the system of eugenics and the dark history of medical experimentation that have plagued black women for centuries. And I'm not saying that we would have chose to terminate her pregnancy, said Smith's mother, April Newkirk, but she said, quote, what I am saying is we should have had a choice.